Hey everybody, it's been a little over a week since the last video with the catastrophic event with the train accident, the runaway. I have gotten the train into the office and I'll show you some pictures of that next. I figured, well, let me pick up and just go over everything that I haven't gone over in the last couple of days. So I did build a little farmhouse, a scale farmhouse that you can somewhat see in that last video. This was the rough blueprint I had sketched up for it. I just took an old palette for the base. This was the picture I had seen online. I was like, oh, I could do that, that's easy. So I started with a palette for the base, and I had an extra sheet of sort of like a T111, but like a really thin wall board. So I was like, I could use that, and I got all the scraps of wood lying around. So I started putting it together, tinkering around with, you know, a little scale building, and I glued together some fake doors and fake windows, and got it all painted up, white and red and black for the door and windows. I opted not to. Maybe down the road I could cut out the windows and maybe put an LED light inside so it glows at night, but I don't know if I'll be using it at nighttime very often, so maybe down the road. But I was just tinkering around. I knew it was going to be sitting in the crushed stone, so down the road I am going to add ramps or steps to the front walkway. Let me get that. Front steps stepping up onto that little front porch area, and there'll be a ramp on that side door. I took some of the old asphalt shingles we got lying around. I started by cutting them down into smaller pieces to try to create like a scale look, and I had covered the whole front porch with that. But when you're dealing with such small pieces, they just do not want to staple or glue, and it's such thin wood I couldn't nail it. So I got frustrated, and for the whole roof over the building, I ended up just doing full-on tiles. As you can kind of see in this picture, I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I just threw the full tile on. But yeah, as you can see here, let me back it up one so you can get a better look at that. So there's the door was added in. Some people are like, why isn't that a functioning door? I'm like, it doesn't need to function. There's nothing in there. It's just empty. It's just for decoration. But this is pretty much it. Completed. Little farm porch. Is that weird roof I did. All the people at work are like, what the hell are you building? I'm like, anything. I don't know. I just need a little house. Need a little house for my train. So I brought that home, and that's near that windmill that we picked up from Tractor Supply. So it looks appropriate. It's perfect. What else? So the engine. So I did get the engine in. I took it all apart. Got into the electrical box. So here's a picture of the base of the engine with the wheels, the motor, the control box. You can see in the background the batteries are on a trickle charger now. So what I did, I need that full screen, there we go. So what I did was I cleaned it all up. I sanded it down lightly, repainted some of it, most of it I repainted black, gave it a fresh coat after I cleaned it off and sanded it down. I did repaint the top lid of the electrical box. You can see it's a different shade of gray. I did replace the speaker in the box, but the audio still doesn't work. And there will be pictures of inside that box in a second. So as you remember, it was yellow. and more of it was, yeah, it was gray on the top, and everything else was pretty much yellow. I think the sides of the windows there that are black now were yellow. You can see where I had roughed it up with the sandpaper, and I removed the decal and it took the paint off with it. So I was like, well, I gotta repaint it anyways. So I started by painting things. At first I was gonna repaint it yellow again. I was like, it looked good yellow, and I just wanted some black accents. So I had painted the front grille black, I painted the light black, the stacked black, the bell housing for the bell is black. That bell is actually wrapped up underneath. It's still the copper color. And I painted the, I guess you call it a sand dome, or maybe, I don't know, it's not a steam engine, but the sand dome looking thing I painted black. I left that horn silver, and I painted the roof black, and all the handrails and stuff were painted black. So at this point I painted it all black. I removed all the tape that was covering the yellow, and I'm about to tape all the black off so I can repaint the yellow. As you can see here, I started taping everything off that was black, getting it ready for the fresh coat of yellow. Took my time wrapping that damn thing up, getting it just right for the yellow. And everyone at the office was saying, why are you gonna paint it yellow again? Do like a cool color like blue or black. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the majority of the Plymouth electric switch, or the Plymouth switcher engines, I believe it's the ML8. If you look it up on YouTube or on Google Images, it most closely resembles the Plymouth switcher ML8, I believe. But there were a lot of blues, there were blacks, there were odd colors, but most of the toys that were being produced were yellow. So I was saying to myself, I'm like, well, I guess it could be a different color. But in my head, it's like, well, the color theming on the train cars goes strongly with the color of the engine. Like the yellow was a nice contrasting color to the rest of the cars. It really pulled your attention to the engine. But after consulting my kids and getting a lot of flack from people at the office, I decided, okay, let's go with a nice dark blue. Let's be safe. We'll go with like a midnight blue. And I'm saying to myself, maybe I'll do some like white stripes on it. So I went to Home Depot and I looked at all the blues, and I'm like, I just didn't want a really bright like baby blue or a royal blue. I was like, I want it just to be deeper. I don't want. And so I got the I think it was called Midnight Blue or something like that. I painted that up. I'm like, alright, that doesn't look too bad. But now at this point I'm saying in my head, I'm like, well, now it would look better if the roof and all these accents were silver, so I'd have to repaint all those silver again. And I was just grinding my teeth. I'm like, oh. So here's another blue, more blue. And at this point my son had seen all the other spray cans there. As you can see on that back table, I had black, I had blue, I actually had some teal and some other colors left over from other projects I was doing. And my son Matthew was like, we should make it like a fade. I was like, a fade, huh? He's like, yeah, like black on the top and then blue in the middle and then like a little teal on the bottom with like a white stripe. I'm like, you know what? That doesn't sound like a bad idea. So we did. I did it. So here it is. It's blue with black on top and a little light spray of teal along the bottom with a white stripe. Here's my buddy Matthew, my oldest son. He's 7. Still waiting for those teeth to come in. But he was really excited to help me do the painting. And it was late at night too. It was like 10 o'clock. So he was starting to get tired as we're doing this. And I did let him do a little bit of the spray paint, and you can see there where the white slipped under the paper. I'm not going to say that it was him that did that, but it was him that did that. I'm like, alright, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's uniquely him. And you can see a little bit of overspray here and there, but I didn't care. I really didn't. I was like, whatever. It's my son's doing it. It's unique between the two of us. So, and honestly, you can repaint this anytime you want. And I was saying to myself that too. I was like, if it's really bad, I'll paint it yellow again. And you know, we did the striping on the back, and you know, you really won't see that because the hopper is in front of it. But if you look real close, you can see that my tape lines were a little off here and there. And he's falling asleep at this point. It's like 10:30 at this point. He's ready for bed, so his eyes are half open. I'm like, smile for the camera. He's like, I can't, I'm sleeping. But yeah, here it is with the black on top with a faded dark blue with a little teal and a white stripe along the base. And yeah, I think it came out pretty good. So here's some pictures of inside of that electrical box. It's atrocious. It's exactly what you would expect for a train that was left outside. Well, not like uncovered, but it was in like this crappy shed train barn I had built way back in the day, which was leaking everywhere, and animals were in there, and it was just so much moisture in there. And an animal had somehow gotten into this box and had built a nest on top of the electrical chip. So a lot of this stuff, the wires are completely chewed out. The board itself looks nasty. And you can see from these pictures, like, this is just atrocious. And everything's just slapped together. And I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? So I did. And you can see here, this might have been the culprit of that runaway right here. This was like one of those little pinch fit fittings where you slide the wire in and you crimp fit, that's what it's called. The guy had squeezed so many fucking wires into one little tiny crimper and didn't get it all the way in, didn't crimp it hard enough, and it had completely slipped off. So this might have been the reason why it ran away. I don't know. It could have, that might have something to do with the controller box. I really don't understand any of these things. I know that this piece right here that I'm pointing to is the soundboard. I mean, this is atrocious. Let me look at that on the right side. Look how it looks like it caught on fire, but I think it's just dirt at this point. I did use some isopropylene or something like that, alcohol, like 99% alcohol, and I got in there and I really cleaned the thing, but it still doesn't look great. Here's the last picture I have of it in there. But yeah, it wasn't good. So I ended up replacing a bunch of the wires, adding new clips to some of the wires, some wires that I couldn't replace that were like multi-wire, like 10 wires that were color-coded going through up to remotes and stuff. I'm like, I can't do those because I don't know the circuitry on the other end, and I don't really want to F around with that. So what I did was I just did the best I could. I rewrapped things in electrical tape, cleaned them up as much as I could. I resoldered joints that had come apart, and put it all back together the best I could, considering the condition it was in. And yeah, the headlights started working again on low and high, and I did end up figuring out an issue that I had with the throttle. There's actually a set screw inside or on the bottom part of that knob that I hadn't noticed that was loose. So the throttle, the throttle, the turn knob throttle on the remote, the metal underneath is set. It will only spin from like 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock, you know, off to on. but the knob on top was loose and spinning freely over that dial, so it wasn't grabbing on. So that also might be a major reason why it ran away, but that doesn't explain why it didn't turn off. But all the loose wires in that box might be the culprit. It does sound like a wire became loose. I did get a response from Aaron on one of his videos. He had a runaway on the Millbrook Railroad. And that's where I found the idea for that switch. I'll show that in a minute too. But he did mention something similar to that, but I didn't really understand all the terms he was saying because I'm not really that familiar with these chips and all that. But it does sound like a loose wire is what caused it not to turn off, and the knob spinning freely is probably the culprit for the speed. So it is back on the rails now. I did order the electrical shut-off switches, the key switches. They did just arrive today, so I am going to bring the engine back to my office to drill holes in it to put those switches in. I also ordered a 24-volt charger, and my plan is to wire it in a way that I can charge the batteries or run the engine without removing the hood or unhooking any of anything. I just want to turn off the key switch to disconnect from the motor, and then I can just connect the charger to both batteries simultaneously, charge it up right through. I'll have like a port going out the window or something, some kind of a plug. I'm still tinkering around with the idea for a throw brake. I was more interested in getting it home with a new paint job to see what it would look like with the rest of the cars. It's not too bad. I mean, the yellow definitely stood out, and I haven't had a chance to take a picture of the whole setup yet with that new color, but I will shortly. I don't think I did. Did I? No, I don't think I did. But anyways, other than that, so we built the farmhouse, fixed the engine, and I have been working on the 30-foot trestle. So, like I do with any project, I'll be in my office late at night, watching train videos, gathering ideas, and playing in Paint. Laying out different dimensions and stuff. I knew I wanted to continue with a 32-inch width, so you didn't feel like you were just going to fall right off the edge. And that seemed to have worked out fine on that small little trestle that you saw in the other videos. So I'm going to do the cinder block supports underneath. I did purchase I had a couple. I had to purchase 6 extra to be able to, I needed 12 total. There will be 4 bases, 1 on each end, 2 in the middle, which is all connecting 3 10-foot sections together. I did have the 2x6s, so I have the cinder blocks are down but not cemented yet because I'm waiting for the flooding to subside, for it to be a little drier down there for me to do that. So right now I have the cinder blocks are there, the 2 ends I have in, but the 2 in the center I'm waiting for the water to go down so I can level it and get the other cinder blocks there. Right now, construction-wise, the 2 center 2x6s are in, and the platform roadbed is down. So if you walk down the middle, you're fine, but if you were to walk on the left or right side, the whole thing's going to tip over because I haven't poured the cement yet, which means I haven't put the anchors into the cement and attach them to the 2x6s, and I need to get the other cinder blocks down before I can do the outside 2x6s to prevent the wobble or tipping. So I do have everything in stock, ready to go as soon as I have time, hopefully this weekend, to get the cement poured, get it attached, and get the remaining understructure completed. I had originally wanted to go with no railing on that, but my wife kind of insisted with the little kids. I mean, 5 is little, but they like to roughhouse a lot, like push each other, so she like just put something up. So I played around with different ideas on how to do railing. It's 30 feet long, 2 sides, so I need 60 feet of railing, and they want almost $2 per 2x2 pressure treated railing ballast at Home Depot. And I did the math out, and I'm like, I could probably get away with 5.5 inch spacing between the ballast, like really stretching it. I'm like, put a 2x6 in between each one. You know, maybe that'll be okay. It's short. I didn't want it to be really tall, but I wanted it to be high enough so you wouldn't just like trip over it and fall over it. So it is about almost 30 inches high when you're standing on the rail bed, 2x4s. So I put all that together. It came to 104 railing ballasts is what I would need, and I'm like, no way. So priced everything out. I looked at options for like a metal railing. I thought about doing like a PVC pipe railing and painting it black. I thought of every different combination, and wood was the cheapest option. So I decided, I said, you know what, 1x4 pressure treated is actually not too expensive, and it's easy to work with. So I was like, I can get a 1x4x8 for like $5, and I have a table saw, so I can just rip that down into balusters. So I turned that, an 8-footer, into 9 balusters, and I bought 12. No, I bought it was 12 1x4x8s, and cut them all down to balusters, and I got like over 100 and something. 108. Yeah, I got 108 balusters, and I also programmed my bridge board to pre-drill the holes on each end. So I put 2 holes on each end, just so they wouldn't crack when you screwed it, or split when I screwed it in. So my plan is to use the 1x, I think, well, it's more like 3/4 of an inch, because the linear sizes of lumber are always under. So it's 3/4 inch thick by about an inch wide, a little over an inch wide, and I cut them at 32 inches long, so it would be exactly 29.25 top of the railing once it's all attached. So I got those cut, drilled, they're at home. I have all of the 2x4s needed and the 1x4s needed for the top. So I'm going to do that this weekend, put all that together. Hopefully get that trussel done, get the track down on that. And then after that, I got started working on plans for a train shed. So I pulled out my rolling tape measure, rolling tape wheel, and measured the length of my train, which came to about 31 feet. And I was like, great. So then I measured that side rail that you see in the video up to where the first trestle bridge is, and that was like 28 feet. I'm like, god damn it. So I'm gonna add another 4 or 5 feet, extending that side rail a little bit closer towards the chicken shed. So I'll be able to do a 32-foot train shed that I'll be able to just roll the whole damn train into and keep it safe. And then I did price it out for multiple build designs, and I explained everything to my wife, and she was furious. She's like, not spending all this money. I said, well, there's 2 ways to do this. I could And again, metal, PVC, or wood, and wood won. Because my first thought was like, I can just get the PVC like conduit pipe, 10 footers, and I can put this like a frame together, sort of like a camping tent, and then just get a roll of polyvinyl and stretch it over the whole thing. I'm like, that would keep water off of it, but not going to be very sturdy for any branches that fall from trees, or snow, or high winds aren't going to be good. So basically I'm thinking, okay, well, if I do a 2x4 frame, out of wood, it's actually cheaper than the PVC piping, which was just remarkable. I'm like, you can't be serious. But it was cheaper to do 2x4 pressure treated wood than PVC piping. I'm like, well, alright, well, I can stage it for the final. So I figured, first stage, I'll do the whole frame in 2x4 PT, and then cover the whole thing with a black plastic sheeting. You can get the roll, 8 foot by 100 foot roll, for like $34. I think it was 4 mil thick. And I said to myself, that'll keep the rain off and keep the construction costs. It only cost me about $200 to do all that. And I said, then it would be ready later on down the road when I get a little more money. I can start getting the plywood and do T111 for the ends and the sides, and then 15-30 seconds, which is basically half inch, for the roof. It's going to be small, like the size of a doghouse, but really long. So I'm thinking 2 feet wide across the tracks, 2 feet tall, and not quite a 45-degree pitch on the roof. Because I'm trying to squeeze all of that frame out of one 10-footer, and so I'm gonna have to probably do like a 35 or 30-degree roof to be able to get 16 inches on those roof pitches to be able to utilize a 10-footer. And I had originally put that 18-inch bar that you see here, I had originally put that right across the base, but then I'm like, oh, well, maybe the top of the caboose might whack that. I really don't think anything is 24 inches above rail height, but just to be safe, I'm like, let me bring it up a couple of inches. I can cut down on the amount of inches used for that 2x10 to be able to do that whole thing. So it's like I can get 2 2-foot sides, 2 16-foot roof pieces, and 1 18-inch, everything inches. So it's like 2 foot, 2 foot, 16-inch, 16-inch, and an 18-inch. I can get all that out of one 10-footer, and then replicate that times, I believe it was 7 times in 5-foot sections. So basically creating 3 10-foot sections. That's 32. No, not 5-foot sections, 4-foot sections. Did I do this wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 32, and 4. Yes, it's gonna be 4-foot sections, so 32 divided by 4, that's 8. So that should be 9. Should be 9, I think. I screwed that math up. I had originally planned on 5-foot sections, but then it's like, I want to do it easily for the plywood to nail on, so I will do it in 4-foot sections, so I gotta rework that math, but it's not much. Like, we're talking 1 or 2 extra 2x4x10s. But I get about $200 to do the plastic with the wood frame, and then I calculated it to be about $562 to do it out of wood. Minus any door hardware and paint, so easily can say about $600. But that's the rough idea for the train shed. And then the last image I was going to show you was the picture I grabbed. That's Aaron from Millbrook Railroad. I had accidentally said Mill Creek because I was reading the name on the screen, because the video was Mill Creek, but his railroad's called Millbrook. But I do watch a lot of Aaron's videos because he has a lot of good tips, pointers, and suggestions and stuff. And I saw in this video of his, this was the spring switch that he had built. And I had mentioned this a couple of times in previous videos. Like, I have been using a harp switch and, you know, constructing the throw rod with the springs and all that. And I have a couple of those. I have 3 harp switches from my parents' house. So I'm going to use those. But going forward, I'm like, well, to save money, this seemed like a really good idea. So basically what he's got going on here is he's got it gauged right with metal brackets underneath, and it slides on metal plates. But he's just using this metal rod that's put under strain through screw heads. So as you can see there, I don't know if it's showing my mouse. Maybe I can do this. Can I do that? And let's fill that. Right there. Okay. So you see right here? So he's got this metal rod going, and he's got 2 screws on one on either side holding it tight, and then over here is another screw. And by flexing the rod on one side of the screw or the other, it throws the switch. And because of friction and pressure, when the train is traveling over this, say from this direction, there's enough strain there to kick that over as if it was on a spring. But there's no spring here. But it's springy because of the friction of that bar. I'm like, what a genius idea. So I'm going to try this out. This out right here. I'm like, what a great idea he has here. So I'm definitely going to try this out. I have to say that. I think that's it. Yeah, it's just the blueprint. That's about it. So I did update this a little bit more. I was like, I can barely see the yellow, so I made the yellow into blue. I did throw that other track back in just in case. Down the road, it's like, alright, these kids are going to collide, so I need to do a continuous loop. So this track, let me get that arrow back. That worked good last time. So this track here, I'm iffy about, because I want to do the signaling system for this whole back one. I was going to do a signal here and a signal here, so I could play around with signaling. But the more I think about it, it's like these kids are going to crash. I need to do a continuous loop. So if I put this other track in here, it'll be able to create a continuous loop. And I can just set it up through that throw switch where as they're going, it'll just take them on that continuous loop. So I don't know. I might do that. There's a little farmhouse with a windmill. I was thinking more about, my neighbor wandered over. They're like, we were wondering if you were gonna build like a little miniaturized village for your train. I go, oh my god, that's a great idea. So I figured way out here, so I didn't really want it to be too visible, and I wanted there to be some sort of remote thing you wanted to try to get to. And I figured it'll put it all out in this area, so this is sort of like a cool area to go to. We'll have, you know, like a nice shed. Did I have a picture of what that was going to be? I might. Let me check real quick. Because I had seen, I might not have captured that picture. They're like a little doghouse ideas I had. I didn't capture that picture. I think it was a video I had seen on YouTube. But it was just like a basic, like a man cave type of shed, like a remote shed. Yeah, I don't have it. It had a little fire pit out in the front. It was really cool looking. So I was like, in reality, I'm probably not going to build a log cabin because it's a lot of work and I don't have that kind of time. Nor do I have the material handling capabilities like a Kubota or a log mill. So it'll probably just be like a small shed that's outfitted to be like an overnighter like a out in the woods wilderness thing. I don't know, but I figured I'll do like a little village over here, do that little convenience store, Chan's Market from Tremors. I was thinking of doing that because it kind of had that old western feel. And then one of my kids' games, Cuphead, had one of the boss fights is like this, I don't know, like a cow that's coming out of a saloon, like one of those old western saloons with the swing doors and stuff. I was like, oh, I should build a little saloon. So I was thinking I'm gonna do a little saloon here, a little water tower here, Chan's Market here, and then I'll just build a couple of small little prop houses over here and call it a day. And then I was gonna do like a little, kind of like a signalman's tower or a switchman's tower here, just for a little scale model of a little roundhouse tower type of thing, because there's so many switches in this area. That was about it in terms of updates for the layout. I did start toying around with what vegetables and apples would go where, the little logos in. Like, this is where my red and green peppers are going. But yeah, other than that, that's about it. I don't really have I don't have any videos yet, and I didn't take any pictures of the Trustle progress so far. But I will this weekend, and I'll get you a video. I'll try to put it all together. Like, okay, here it is. Here's the cement. Here's the brackets. Here's the railing going on, and I'll give you a finished video of the whole thing. So I'll try to do that this weekend. And yeah. So that's about it. Going over the farmhouse build, the engine repairs, the trestle, the train shed plan. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking out some of the pictures of my work. And I will see you in the next video.